It's November 17th, 2021. In Memphis, Tennessee, a line stretches around the block outside Makeda's homemade butter cookies. People aren't waiting for sweets. They're waiting to honor a king. Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., known to the world as Young Dolph, was gunned down here just hours ago. He was 36 years old. But in those 36 years, he did something almost nobody in hip-hop has ever done. He turned down millions. He said no to major labels. He said no to the system that eats artists alive. And he built an empire so solid, so independent, that even after his death, it's still growing. This is the story of Young Dolph, the rapper who proved that ownership isn't just a business move. It's survival. In July 27, 1985, Adolph Robert Thornton Jr. was born in Chicago, Illinois. But by the time he was 2 years old, his family had moved to Memphis, specifically the Castalia Heights neighborhood of South Memphis. It was a rough area, and home wasn't stable. His parents struggled with crack cocaine addiction, a reality he would later rap about on his track, Preach. Mama always in the streets, so guess who raised me? The answer was Ida Mae, his grandmother. She was a strict, no-nonsense woman who raised Dolph and his 4 siblings. In interviews, Dolph described her as the meanest grandma in the world. But here's what he learned later. All the stuff she was telling you get to seeing it when you hit about 15. From ages 12 to 15, Dolph worked as a barber, learning the value of $1. But when he hit his mid-teens, the streets started calling. He dropped out of Hamilton High School in the 9th grade. He started hustling, and there was one moment that stuck with him forever. The only time his grandmother ever caught him with money from the streets. On March 5, 2008, Ida Mae died after a long battle with lung cancer. Dolph was 22 years old, and everything changed. Later that same year, encouraged by friends, Dolph released his first mixtape, Paper Route Campaign. He burned CDs himself. He sold them out of his car in South Memphis. It wasn't glamorous, but something clicked. In 2010, he formally launched his own record label, Paper Route Empire. The name wasn't random. Dolph said he was just fascinated with money and always wanted it growing up. The older he got, the more fascinated he was with money. So, once he started doing music, that was the first thing that came to mind, Paper Route Empire. Over the next 4 years, Dolph released mixtape after mixtape. Welcome to Dolph World, High Class Street Music 1 through 5, South Memphis Kingpin, Cross Country Trappin'. Each one built his reputation. Each one sold a few more copies. Each one taught him how to reach his audience directly, without a label, without a middleman. He was developing his sound, moving away from the 3-6 Mafia style that defined Memphis rap, carving out his own lane. Then came 2015. Dolph was featured on OT Genesis's single Cut It. The track peaked at number 35 on the Billboard Hot 100. Suddenly, the industry was paying attention. But here's where Dolph's story takes its sharpest turn. In 2014, before Cut It blew up, Yo Gotti, Memphis's biggest rap success story at the time, came calling. Gotti wanted to sign Dolph to his CMG label. This was a deal that would have given Dolph major label backing, distribution, resources. It would have been, for most artists, a dream come true. Dolph said no. He chose independence. He chose his own label. He chose ownership. This decision would spark one of hip-hop's most dangerous rivalries. In February 2016, Dolph released his debut studio album, King of Memphis. The title was a statement, a claim to the throne. The album peaked at number 49 on the Billboard 200, a major achievement for an independent artist with no major label push. But the title got to Gotti and his camp. In their eyes, there was only one king of Memphis, and it wasn't Young Dolph. The date is February 26, 2017. Adolph was in Charlotte, North Carolina, for a performance at the CGA tournament. His vehicle was on the street when gunmen opened fire. Police reports say over 100 rounds were fired. But here's the detail that saved his life. The vehicle had bulletproof cams. Nobody was hurt. Dolph performed that same night. Black Youngsta and 2 other men were arrested in connection with the shooting. Charges were later dropped due to insufficient evidence. But Dolph did what he always did. He turned pain into product. 2 months later, he released his second studio album, Bulletproof. The title said everything. 7 months later, September 26, 2017, Dolph was in Hollywood, California, outside a retail store. A fight broke out. Shots were fired. Dolph was hit 3 times and rushed to the hospital in critical condition. For 2 weeks, he was in the hospital recovering. But again, he survived. In February 2018, Dolph released an EP titled Niggas Get Shot Every Day. The title was blunt. The message was clear: you can't stop me. That kind of resilience, that refusal to be intimidated, that's what made young Dolph different. He didn't hide. He didn't sign with a label for protection. He doubled down on himself. Here comes 2017, right in the middle of all this chaos. Dolph made a move that would define the next chapter of Paper Route Empire. He signed his cousin by marriage, a young Memphis rapper named Key Glock. The two had met at family gatherings. Glock played him some music. Dolph heard something special. Speaking to XXL magazine, Dolph explained what he looks for in an artist. It's really all about that work ethic. I like people that like to work, somebody that I don't have to keep telling to record. I really like people that are really into themselves and into their product. I like people whose confidence is through the roof. It's really more so about their confidence than their sound and their work to me. Because as long as you got that confidence, you're going to do whatever it takes and can't nobody tell you about yourself. In July 2019, Dolph and Key Glock released their collaborative album, Dumb and Dumber. The title was a play on the Farrelly brothers' classic comedy Dumb and Dumber. The album debuted at number 8 on the Billboard 200, giving both artists their first top 10 album. Reviewers noticed something deeper. Dolph's songwriting had evolved, revealing depths of self-loathing and despair that were balanced by Key Glock's celebrations of himself. It was a perfect counterpoint, the seasoned veteran and the hungry young star. By 2021, Paper Route Empire had signed a full roster: Big Moochie Grape, Snoop Bands, Paper Route Woo, and the label's first female artist, Jody Badass. Dolph was building something bigger than himself. He was building a machine that could outlast him. So what was young Dolph actually worth when he died? Industry estimates placed his net worth at approximately $3 million. Since his death, young Dolph's estate has grown significantly. Music catalog and royalties alone are now valued at $10 million. Because he owned his masters, every stream, every license, every placement flows directly to his family. Paper Route Empire, with Key Glock as its flagship artist, is valued at $5 million. His real estate holdings across Memphis? Another $3 million. Compare this to Yo Gotti, whose net worth is estimated at $100 million. Gotti signed to Epic Records early, built CMG into a powerhouse with artists like Moneybagg Yo and Glorilla, and made major investments in real estate and sports. Dolph took a different path. He stayed smaller. He stayed independent. He owned everything he created. And while his $22.5 million estate doesn't match Gotti's $100 million, the ratio of ownership to revenue is completely different. But net worth isn't just about numbers. It's about what you build. And Dolph built with intention. His car collection was legendary. In a 2018 interview with Dub magazine, Dolph gave a tour of his garage. The highlight? His signature camo-wrapped vehicles, a G-Wagon, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a Dodge Demon SRT, and a Rolls-Royce Cullinan. The road to millions isn't a straight line. It's paved with rejection, with loss, with moments when it would be easier to sell out. Young Dolph never did. And that's why, 3 years after his death, his legacy is still growing. Who should I break down next? Drop their name in the comments.